What's up, guys? This is an introductory guide to Warhammer Underworlds and a brief overview of every warband in the Direchasm season, the 4th season of Warhammer Underworlds. This video is my attempt to get my friend, Blake Decker, to start playing the game because he is an enormous baby who says he learns best via YouTube videos, and I couldn't find one that did a good enough job at covering all the bases without being overly exhaustive. If you have a Blake Decker in your life who is unwilling to read written words on a page and does all of his learning and forms all of his opinions via the spoken word video on YouTube, feel free to send them this video. Okay, so Warhammer Underworlds is a tabletop board game made by Games Workshop where 2 or more teams of fighters called warbands do battle on a board with a hex-shaped grid printed on it. They move around the board, attack other fighters with dice rolls, or take other actions, and your decisions about where to move them or what to do with them are being informed by cards that you are holding in your hand. Underworlds was released in 2018, and each new year constitutes a new season of Underworlds. Every season starts with the release of a large box set that is known as that season's core set, and it includes everything you need to play the game: boards, cards, dice, tokens, and most importantly, 2 warbands to pit against each other in battle. In addition to the core set, throughout the year there are expansions released that include a single warband's models with their associated cards, as well as universal cards that can be used by any warband. Each season of Underworlds has a name. The first was Shadespire, the second, Night Vault, the third, Beastgrave, and the 4th, our current season, is Direchasm. Each new season brings with it new warbands, new rules and mechanics, and other changes to the game to make it even better. Games Workshop continues to make and sell expansion boxes for the 2 most recent seasons, so any warband in Shadespire and Night Vault is out of print and only purchasable secondhand, whereas warbands from Beastgrave and Direchasm are still readily available for sale on the website. In this video, we'll run through each of the Direchasm warbands as they'll be printed and supported for quite some time. So what are warbands? Think of your warbands as your team. It is the group of fighters that you bring out onto the field of battle to win the game. They start out as little plastic pieces attached to a sprue. You clip them out of their sprue and easily assemble them using their push-fit pins with no glue required. Each model starts as just a single colored plastic, but an entire other side of this hobby includes painting these models to look amazing on the battlefield. That is an entirely different discussion. But just know that if the arts and crafts portion of the game is not your thing, that's completely fine. Painted models are not required to play the game. Each fighter in your warband comes with a fighter card, which is a card that displays information about that particular fighter. Each fighter has stats for movement, defense, and health, as well as weapon stats for the types of attacks they can do, and something called an Inspire condition. When a fighter meets their Inspire condition in a game, they become inspired, in which case you flip over their card to reveal improved stats for that fighter. Besides the fighter cards, which rest on the table, you actually play through the game holding 2 different types of cards. The first type are called objective cards. Objective cards are the way you win a game of Warhammer Underworlds. Each card has some condition that you must meet, and by meeting that condition, you score glory. The amount of glory you score when you meet the objective is displayed on the bottom of the card. Whoever has the most glory at the end of the game wins. The other type of cards you'll hold in your hand are called power cards. Power cards include both gambits and upgrades. Gambits can be sneaky ploys or powerful spells that are freely playable at many different points in the game to thwart your opponent's best laid plans. Upgrades are cards you attach to your various fighters to power them up, but cost a glory point to be played. The glory point used on the upgrade is still counted towards your total glory earned when determining who won the game, but you can't use an upgrade card unless you have an unspent glory point in your earned glory pile. Upgrades give your fighters additional attacks, boost their stats, or affect the game in other powerful ways. When it comes to deck building, just know at the beginning you don't really have to. Each warband comes with enough cards specific to the warband to play a full game without any issue. Building a custom deck, however, is a great way to put together cards that synergize well with one another and allow you to make decisions about how you want to play the game. Do you want to be a fast-moving aggro player who pushes straight into enemy territory to score early kills? You can build an objective deck that rewards that style of play. Do you want to play a little more tactically and lock down key objectives on the board? You can build objective and power decks that support that style of play as well. Your deck, together with the intrinsic characteristics of your chosen warband, can make for deeply rewarding tactical gameplay that takes this game far beyond just a regular old board game. Try to think about this in terms of video games you've played. They are all games that include, or rather necessitate, the act of building and customizing your avatar in the game to accomplish certain goals. It is equivalent in Underworlds. You are choosing a warband that has certain broad strengths, then expounding upon those strengths based on card choices and decisions made in the heat of battle. In the game, you earn currency in the form of glory and then spend that currency on upgrades, much like you would at the League of Legends item shop or forging new weapons and armor in Monster Hunter. It's a system and style of gameplay that you're already very familiar with, just taking place in an entirely new medium that also happens to be completely awesome. Now let's take a look at all the Direchasm warbands and discuss their playstyles, strengths, and weaknesses. Quick note before I do though. All of the warbands in Warhammer Underworlds are based on factions in a much larger scale tabletop war game called Warhammer Age of Sigmar. I've included the book for each Age of Sigmar faction that the warbands are based on just for reference. Special thanks to John over at CanYouRollACrit.com for providing an in-depth analysis of each warband for me to summarize here. Myari's Purifiers is a Lumineth Realm Lords warband, a faction of mountain-dwelling high elves with really billowy cloaks and large hats. They're glass cannon style with low health and not great movement, but lots of great ranged attacks. Tough to inspire, but don't really need it to perform well. Generally aim to control the board and objectives and are able to quickly generate glory. They also have a mechanic that can produce re-rolls when the dice don't roll your way. The Dread Pageant are Hedonites of Slaanesh warband who are all about opulence and excess. These guys have great movement, consistent 2 damage output, and can easily disrupt opponent positioning. Their tank, the goat crab dude on the far left, is fast and able to regenerate health, making him a dangerous threat on the board. Kagra's Ravagers are a Slaves to Darkness warband, essentially Dark Knights and Worshippers of Chaos. This warband is fairly durable with reliable defense rolls, deals great damage even while uninspired, can shut down objective players with very strong gambits and upgrades, and a very straightforward, beginner-friendly playstyle. Charge and kill. The Starblood Stalkers are an Aztec-themed, star-faring race of lizardmen known as the Seraphon. Their warband is an interesting mix of hold objective and aggro playstyles. They want to hold objectives, but on the opponent's side of the board. They can get in, attack, and get out reliably, have great starting speed, lots of great ranged attacks, a very strong bruiser tank, and a support leader, and really unique, fun mechanics. Tough for beginners to pick up and play, but extremely rewarding to learn. The Crimson Court is a Soulblight Gravelords warband who are basically just super badass vampires. They are durable, yet low damage output and can flex into aggro playstyle, but do really well in a control build. They have solid mobility and a set of cool vampire-themed mechanics like Hunger and Bloodthirst that will radically change how you end up playing them based on which one you decide to focus on. The Storm of Celestis is a Stormcast Eternals warband, long-dead warriors who have since been reforged by the God King Sigmar himself to beat back the tide of chaos in the mortal realms. As a warband, they seem simple at first, just stand on objectives and shoot crossbows, but their pet Gryph-hound has some unique mechanics that can make for very interesting and complex plays. Dreeper's Wraithcreepers are a Nighthawk warband of ghastly phantoms wielding scythes. They are a simple and fun warband that is able to aggro heavily and put consistent pressure on opponents. They have great ranged attacks, powerful movement, being able to phase through blocked hexes due to being ghosts, and their attacks are reliable to hit. Headkraka's Mad Mob is an Orruk War Clans warband that are essentially, you guessed it, big, green, angry orcs. They have solid durability, fast and easy inspire mechanics, beastly damage output, and are just great at playing aggro and knocking opponents' teeth through the back of their head. Canaan's Reapers are an Ossiarch Bone Reapers warband who are basically a structured military force that just happens to be made up entirely of skeletons. Their leader, Canaan, hits like a truck and is also a wizard, which allows for some cool spell plays. They have decent base mobility, can do quite a bit of damage across the board, and have great accuracy with their attacks. Elethane's Soul Raid are an Idoneth Deepkin warband, ocean-themed elves who ride sharks and stingrays on a tidal wave of magic into battle. They're an extremely unique, hard-to-categorize warband based on their interesting mechanics. They rely heavily on good usage of cards and timing to overwhelm their opponent rather than the base stats of their fighters to claim victory. Also, 2 of their 5 fighters are a giant crab and a large fish, so that's amazing. Okay, so that's all the Direchasm warbands, so now it's time to preemptively handle some of your objections before you can even muster up the stones to text them to me. I'm not good with art stuff. I don't want to buy paint and supplies to paint my guys. Good news, you don't have to. Your guys don't have to be painted. They're push-fit models that take 10 minutes to build, and I'll even do that part for you. If you want your guys to be painted and look cool, I enjoy painting and will do that for you as well, you big baby. I'm cheap. I don't want to spend $40 on a warband. It's a good thing I'm not cheap then, because just the other day, I bought every single Direchasm warband available, and I'm buying the last one that releases this weekend on Saturday. So I'll have every warband available for you to come try out, and you can see how you like playing with them. Cards? Deck building? That seems like a lot of work. Have no fear, lazy ass. The internet is filled with resources like underworldsdb.com and others that will let you build a deck at the push of a button based on the cards you have available to you. They also have tournament decks that top players have used that you can copy, and even right here on YouTube, there are tons of filmed games with deck builds linked in the description so you can immediately know what decks high-level players are running in the current meta. Also, if a certain deck is using a card we don't have, we can literally just print a proxy of that card off the internet and slide it over the top of another card in a card sleeve to be used in our friendly kitchen table matches. In conclusion, I want to say that this game is extremely fun. I know you'll have a good time with it. You literally play Settlers of Catan on a semi-regular basis, so I know you don't have an aversion to tabletop gaming. It's just new and scary, and you're afraid you're going to be bad, and that's okay. We can all be bad together. The important thing is that you'll be coming to my house, eating some tacos, and playing games in person with the boys. It's basically just a LAN party every time we play. So get over your fears, continue the YouTube research about the game rules and specific warbands you like, and commit to joining us for a night of Underworlds goodness. You'll be better for it.